A street girl shouted to a millionaire, "Don't eat that! Your wife put poison in it," on the way home to confront his wife. The millionaire was shocked to see what she was doing. The sun was beginning to set in the city as Lyra stretched out her small, dirty hand towards a hurried pedestrians passing by on the sidewalk. Her bare feet, calloused from the hot asphalt, no longer felt pain. The cardboard she used as a home was folded under her arm as she tried to catch the attention of the well-dressed passers-by, who avoided her gaze. "Please, ma'am, it's been 2 days since I've eaten. Just a few coins to buy bread," she repeatedly murmured, her voice hoarse from begging so much. An elegant woman passing by, holding bags from famous brands, wrinkled her nose as Lyra approached her. The woman wore a blue silk ensemble, and her jewelry glistened in the evening light. Her high heels stopped abruptly when the girl gently touched her fur coat, trying to get her attention. "Don't you dare touch me again, you filthy thing. This coat costs more than you'll ever see in your entire life," the woman shouted, yanking her arm away. Lyra took a step back, but hunger and desperation were stronger than fear. "Ma'am, please, just a little food. I can work. I can clean your car." "Anything," the girl insisted, her voice choked up. "Work? Just look at yourself. You're dirty, stinking. You probably have lice and other diseases. Guards, someone get this dirty girl out of here," the woman yelled, her shrill voice attracting the attention of other pedestrians. The elegant woman, seeing that she was creating a small audience, seemed to grow in her cruelty. She adjusted her jewel-covered fingers and looked at Lyra with disdain. "You're all the same. You only know how to beg and steal. Why don't you go find an orphanage?" "Oh, that's right. You have to follow rules there, wouldn't you? You prefer to be out here, dirtying our city," she said, her voice as cold as ice. You don't know anything about me. You don't know why I'm on the street. You don't know what I've been through," Lyra replied, feeling her heart race but finding a courage she didn't know she had. A circle of onlookers formed around them. The woman, realizing she had an audience, forcefully pushed Lyra, causing the girl to fall into a dirty puddle. "How dare you talk back to me? Guards, come quickly. This beggar is threatening me." "She tried to rob me," the woman shouted mercilessly at the girl, who was still lying on the ground. "I never stole anything. I just wanted a little food," Lyra sobbed as she tried to get up from the puddle, her only cardboard now soaked. The crowd began to murmur, some taking out their phones to film the scene. The elegant woman, seeing that not everyone seemed to approve of her attitude, changed her tactic. "Just look. Now she's going to pretend to be the victim. I know her type well. She must be part of some gang. They use children to distract us while they steal our purses," the woman said. "That's a lie. The only bad person here is you, who has so much and doesn't help anyone," Lyra shouted, tears now freely running down her dirty face as she quickly collected her sodden cardboard that had fallen into the puddle. Other pedestrians passed by, some laughing at the scene, others pretending nothing was happening. A security guard from the luxury store began walking toward her with an unfriendly look. Asterisk, why do they treat us like this? I didn't choose to be born poor. I didn't choose to live on the streets. Asterisk, she thought as she quickly got up to flee from the guard, running through the dark alleys. Lyra searched for a safe place to spend the night. The cold wind cut through her tattered clothes, and her stomach ached with hunger. She passed a group of other street kids who called out to her, but she didn't stop. Asterisk, I can't join them. They always end up stealing the little I manage to get. Asterisk, she muttered to herself, clutching the few coins she'd earned during the day in her pocket. It was then that the smell of hot food reached her nostrils, making her stomach growl even louder. Lyra followed the aroma to the back of a luxurious restaurant, the Sterling. Her legs trembled with weakness as she approached the trash containers. Asterisk, there's always good food here. I just need to be careful the staff don't see me. Asterisk, she thought, looking around to make sure she was alone. Then, Lyra adjusted the ragged cap covering her disheveled black hair, while her small, agile hands began rummaging through the trash container behind the luxurious Sterling restaurant. Her almond-shaped eyes, marked by deep circles from sleepless nights on the city streets, quickly scanned the food scraps. The aroma of spices and grilled meat wafting out of the kitchen windows made her stomach growl, reminding her of her incessant hunger. Her trembling fingers found a piece of bread, still packaged, almost intact. If only people knew how much waste happens here while out there. So many people are hungry like me, she muttered to herself, tucking the bread into the pocket of her coat. The clatter of plates and cutlery caught her attention at the kitchen window, where the yellow light revealed the impeccable environment and staff in their crisp white uniforms. Lyra approached cautiously, her bare feet making no sound against the wet asphalt. Through the fog glass, she could see the frantic movement of the cooks and waiters, all busy with their tasks. It's incredible how they look like ants working, each with their own job, without even noticing what's happening around them, she thought, gently pressing her nose against the cold window. An elegant woman entered the kitchen while the cooks and waiters were distracted, her red dress contrasting with the predominantly white environment. Lyra recognized Grace Vanderbilt, wife of the famous businessman Silas Vanderbilt, whose photo frequently graced the magazines a girl found on the streets. Grace walked with the confidence of someone who knew that space well, her high heels echoing on the marble floor. Asterisk, what would a woman as rich as her be doing inside this kitchen? People like her usually don't mingle with the employees. Asterisk, Lyra reflected, feeling a growing curiosity. The staff didn't notice Grace's presence, too focused on their work. The woman approached one of the counters where an elaborate dish was being finalized. Lyra watched as she took something from inside her designer handbag, a small, dark glass vial that glistened under the fluorescent light. It was undeniable that what was contained in that vial was something terrible. Asterisk, please. May someone look at her? May someone notice what's happening? Asterisk, Lyra whispered, her heart starting to beat faster, with a quick and precise movement. Taking advantage of the waiter's distraction as he talked to one of the cooks, Grace dropped a few drops of the dark liquid onto the dish. Her hands, covered in black lace gloves, did not tremble, demonstrating a calculated coldness that made Lyra shudder. Asterisk, my God, she's poisoned the food. How can someone be so cruel? Asterisk, the girl thought, feeling her blood run cold in her veins. The waiter turned his attention back to the dish, and Grace quickly put the vial back in her bag, maintaining a serene smile on her red-painted lips. Lyra watched in horror as the woman smiled as if she were merely admiring the dish's presentation. Asterisk, I need to do something. I can't let this happen. Asterisk, Lyra muttered to herself, her body trembling not only from the cold but from fear and adrenaline. The girl moved away from the window, her wobbly legs barely sustaining her thin body as she ran toward the restaurant's entrance, her thoughts in turmoil, trying to find a way to prevent the tragedy about to unfold. Asterisk, if I scream, no one will believe me. I'm just a street kid. Who would listen to my words against hers? Asterisk, she reflected bitterly. Lyra's heart was beating so hard it seemed like it wanted to jump out of her chest as she rounded the corner of the restaurant building. Her dirty hands clung to the exposed brick wall, seeking support as she moved as fast as she could. Asterisk, please, God, help me get there in time. I can't let someone die without doing anything. Asterisk, she whispered between gasping breaths. Upon reaching the restaurant's entrance, Lyra came face to face with a tall, burly security guard whose stern gaze made her hesitate for a moment. Her tattered clothes and unkempt appearance contrasted sharply with the establishment's refined environment. Sir, please, I need to go in. It's an emergency. Someone's going to die, she pleaded, her voice trembling with desperation. The guard firmly held her by the arm, blocking her entry. Lyra tried to break free, but her strength was insignificant compared to his. Tears began to stream down her dirty face, leaving clear trails on her cheeks. Let me go. You don't understand. There's an evil woman in there. She put poison in the food. Lyra shouted, her voice echoing through the restaurant's entrance. Inside the restaurant, through the glass doors, Lyra could see the waiter emerging from the kitchen with the fatal dish in his hands. Her eyes widened in horror as she realized she was failing in her desperate mission to save a life. No, no, no. Please, someone has to hear me. I think the woman is trying to poison Silas Vanderbilt. He's going to die if he eats that food, she shouted louder, her desperation growing by the second. The guard dragged her away from the entrance while other staff members approached to see what was happening. Lyra kept struggling, desperately trying to make someone understand the gravity of the situation. Asterisk, why doesn't he believe me? Just because I'm poor doesn't mean I'm lying. Asterisk, she thought in anguish. In the midst of the commotion, Grace elegantly emerged to the front door, probably hearing the girl's screams from outside. The elegant woman cast a disdainful look at the unfolding scene. Her eyes met Lyra's for a brief moment, and the girl could see a glint of threat in that seemingly serene gaze. "You won't get away with this, you evil witch," Lyra shouted as she was taken away. The waiter had already disappeared into the main dining room with the poison dish, and Lyra felt her hopes fade away. Her legs finally gave out, and she fell to her knees on the cold sidewalk, freeing herself from the guard and sobbing in frustration and helplessness. Asterisk, what do I do now? How can I save someone when no one wants to let me in? Asterisk, she whispered to herself, feeling completely defeated. Through her tears, Lyra saw Grace enter her luxurious car, a satisfied smile playing on her red lips. The girl felt a chill run down her spine as she realized she was alone with this terrible secret. Asterisk, it won't stay like this. I promise I'll find a way to prove the truth, even if it's the last thing I do. Asterisk, she vowed to herself, determination replacing despair in her voice. The sound of breaking plates inside the restaurant made Lyra quickly lift her head. Her heart raced again, wondering if the poisoned dish had reached its destination. The agony of uncertainty consumed her from within. "Please, may something have happened to prevent this tragedy," she murmured, her hands clasped in silent prayer. Lyra watched the movement at the restaurant entrance desperately, her hands trembling as she tried to think of a way to get in. The security guard who had expelled her returned to his post, but seemed distracted by his cell phone. The girl noticed that he occasionally looked inside the restaurant, where soft music played and people chatted animatedly, oblivious to the drama that was about to unfold. Asterisk, I need to find a way to get in. I can't let that man die because of that evil woman. Asterisk, she whispered to herself, studying every move of the security guard. A group of elegant customers approached the entrance, catching the guard's attention as he hurried to open the door for them. Lyra saw her opportunity. While the man greeted the newcomers, she could try to sneak behind them. Her heart was beating so hard it felt like it was going to explode. Asterisk, it's now or never. "Please, God, help me save that man." Asterisk, she muttered, adjusting her tattered cap and preparing to run. The guard turned to attend another customer arriving in a shiny black Mercedes, and Lyra seized a crucial moment. Her eyes, accustomed to seeking gaps in the streets to survive, quickly identified the safest path. With the agility that only a street child possesses, developed after years of escaping danger, she swiftly slid through the entrance. Her bare feet made no noise against the polished marble. Keeping low, she hid behind a sumptuous arrangement of white orchids in the lobby, her heart beating so hard she feared someone might hear it. Asterisk, where is he? I need to find him before it's too late. Please, God, help me save him. Asterisk, she thought frantically, her wide eyes scanning the room as her hands trembled uncontrollably. The luxurious environment made her feel even smaller and more insignificant. With its immense crystal chandeliers shedding golden light on elegant tapestries and expensive artworks, the contrast between her reflection and the gilded mirror on the wall, a dirty girl in tattered clothes, and the opulence of the place made her stomach churn. Lyra could hear the tinkling of crystal glasses and the soft sound of silver cutlery against fine porcelain, mixed with polite conversations and contained laughter. Asterisk, little do they know that a murder is about to take place right under their noses. I hope I can make it in time. Asterisk, she whispered to herself, feeling a mixture of anger and despair. The maitre d', a tall, slender man with a perfectly trimmed mustache, rushed past her, carrying a bottle of wine that probably cost more than she would ever see in her life. Lyra took advantage of his elongated shadow to move stealthily between the tables like a small shadow herself. Her bare, dirty feet left small marks on the Persian red carpet, but she didn't care about the evidence she was leaving behind. Time was running out, and every second lost could mean the difference between life and death. I can't fail now, not after coming this far, she muttered, her eyes frantically scanning the room for Silas. That's when she saw him. Silas Vanderbilt was sitting at a table in the center of the room, as if he were the main star of a tragic play about to unfold. His imposing figure in a bespoke navy blue suit contrasted with the snow-white tablecloth. He was examining the dish that had just been served, steam rising in sinister spirals from the poisoned food. A smile of approval, was beginning to form on his lips as he appreciated the presentation of the dish. No. Please, don't touch that food. Lyra thought desperately. If only I could shout without that security guard stopping me from reaching him. Her mind screamed as she calculated the distance she would need to cover. Silas raised a silver fork, and time seemed to slow down for Lyra, as if the universe were prolonging that crucial moment. The light from the chandeliers reflected off the polished metal of the utensil, creating little dancing rainbows on the walls. She saw, as if in slow motion, the fork approaching the poisoned food. Her body reacted on pure instinct, driven by a force she didn't know she possessed. She ran from her hiding place like a wild animal, knocking over a tray of champagne, pushing chairs, and bumping into stunned waiters in the process. "Don't eat that. Your wife put poison in it," she shouted with all the strength of her lungs, her hoarse voice echoing through the now tomb-silent room. But it was too late. By the time Lyra reached the table shouting, Silas had already taken the first forkful to his mouth. His dark brown eyes met hers, a mixture of surprise and confusion on his well-groomed face. The fork fell from his trembling hand, clinking against the fine porcelain and breaking the momentary silence that had settled. "Who are you? What's going on?" he managed to stutter, his voice already starting to fail. Silas's face, once rosy and healthy, began to pale at an alarming rate. Large beads of sweat broke out on his forehead, trickling down his temples and staining the collar of his white dress shirt. His hands, now violently trembling, knocked over the glass of red wine that was nearby, the dark liquid spilling over the white tablecloth. "My God! Someone help! He's feeling unwell!" shouted an elderly lady at the next table. Silas tried to get up, leaning heavily on the table, but his legs seemed made of jelly. His eyes began to roll back in their sockets, showing only the whites, and his breathing became a distressing wheeze. Lyra, driven by a protective instinct, ran to support him, but her small body could barely bear the man's weight. "He needs help. Please, someone do something," Lyra pleaded, her tears now mingling with sweat. Chaos had completely taken over the luxurious restaurant. A woman screamed hysterically when Silas began to writhe, his body seized by violent spasms. Plates fell and shattered as people backed away in panic, children's cries mingling with the screams and exclamations of horror from the other patrons. It was his wife. Grace put poison in the food. I saw everything through the kitchen window. Help me save him, Lyra shouted amid the tumult. Silas's body began to convulse violently against the marble floor, where he had collapsed seconds earlier. His limbs thrashed with such force that no one could approach him. Lyra, desperate, tried to protect his head from hitting the ground. "Don't die. Please, don't die. I tried to warn you. I swear I tried," the girl sobbed. Silas's face was turning increasingly purplish as his body twisted violently on the floor. A young waiter ran over with a glass of water, his hand shaking so much that half the liquid spilled before reaching them. "Water. We have to make him drink water," the desperate waiter shouted, trying to approach the convulsing man. "No, don't give him water. He could drown," Lyra yelled, pushing the glass away with a strength she didn't know she had. "We need to turn him on his side. He needs to breathe." Two other waiters tried to approach with wet napkins, but backed away in fright when Silas had a particularly violent spasm, knocking over another nearby table. The sound of shattering plates echoed through the room, mingling with the screams of terror from the patrons. "Hold that criminal here until the police arrive," the maitre d' ordered, his usually composed face now contorted with rage and fear. Lyra watched, powerless and desperate, as Silas's body continued to thrash on the marble floor. Her small hands, now trapped by the enormous hands of security guard, could no longer help. Fat tears streamed down her dirty face as she saw the man she had tried to save fighting for his life. "Please, believe me, the guilty one will get away. It was Grace. She planned all of this." Her voice, already hoarse from shouting, could barely be heard amid the chaos. The sound of sirens began to approach as Silas finally stopped thrashing, his body lying frighteningly still on the floor. The ensuing silence was more deafening than all the previous screams. Lyra felt her own body go limp in the security guard's arms, the adrenaline being replaced by a crushing fatigue. Why does no one ever believe a street kid? She whispered to herself as the red and blue lights began to illuminate the restaurant windows. Lyra felt an inexplicable strength take over her small body. With a sudden movement, she managed to break free from the guard holding her and ran towards Silas, who was still lying on the floor. Her years on the streets had taught her that in emergency situations, acting quickly was the difference between life and death. Listen to me. I have an idea. I think I can help. I've seen this happen before. Lyra shouted, her voice carrying an authority surprising for someone so young. With quick, precise movements, learned from homeless people who often suffered seizures, she began to loosen Silas's tie and collar.